Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Chris Colbert and Hector Garcia. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so we've got a fight coming up here, main event, Chris Colbert versus Hector Garcia. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing this one, not quite as much as I would have had Chris Colbert been fighting the guy that he was scheduled to fight. This is the second time in a row now that he's fighting a late replacement. Right, his last fight against Niambiar, now this one against Hector Garcia, both of them, they had to step in on short notice. Now, I don't take anything away from, Chris Colbert. It is what it is. It's not his fault if a guy steps out, drops out, whatever it is, and this one, it happened to be COVID-related. But I would just like to see him in against, the biggest guys that he can, against guys that got full training camps at these biggest names possible. Because, you can see how talented this man is. You can see what Chris Colbert brings to the table. You can see why he's making these main event, why Showtime or different networks, he's showing up on these different networks. He's making these main event appearances. Last time he was supposed to fight Gamboa. This time he was supposed to fight the belt holder in Gutierrez. He's there, man. 130 pounds. He is a man that is being talked about amongst the best in the division. Young, 25 years old. So he's still learning, still coming up, still growing. And he's already out there. 16-0. Doesn't have a good knockout percentage, right? Not known for having all this pop. Yet at the same time, we've seen him start to sit down on his shots a little bit more. We've seen in some of these recent fights where he's been able to buzz guys a little bit. So, that's intriguing too. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to come out and all of a sudden have some devastating power. He's not going to show up and one day he's 16-0 with 5 knockouts. Next day he starts showing power like he's Gervonta Davis or something crazy. That's not going to happen. You're born with that type of power. You're not. But he can put things together a little bit better maybe. He can sit down on his shots a little bit more. He could pick them and place them a little bit better because the shots that hurt you the most are the ones you don't see. So if you come in with just a very crisp counter punch, you place it just a little bit more, fit that punch inside a pocket, hide it a little bit more with a feint or something that's going to do more damage than it would otherwise, which is also going to translate into, the perception of more power. Even though if you were to test it on a machine, it's not actually a more powerful punch. It will be more devastating to your opponent because of the way in which you landed it. Right? So that's going to happen as his skill set increases too. But as it is right now, he's already a very, very good fighter. Works well behind the jab, shoots a good right hand. He fights southpaw and orthodox. I heard I heard the commentary team in a fight from a couple from a couple fights ago that his natural side is being a southpaw, but I see him doing more work out of orthodox. So maybe he just prefers that better. Maybe he thinks it just matches up better against his opponents. That's the way he's able to pick and choose his shots. But that's pretty much what we've seen for him for the most part, right? Especially recently, we've seen him work out of the orthodox stance the most. And when he's in there, he's at his best when he's coming forward. He's at his best when he's on his front foot, right? He's not all super crazy. He's not applying relentless pressure or anything like that. This isn't, he's not Julio Cesar Chavez or anything. But he likes to come forward. He likes to be aggressive. He's in his opponent's face. From there, he wants to work behind that jab and then land the right hand, land the left hook. His left hook is interesting in the sense that when he's going forward, when he's putting at the end of his combinations, I feel like he lands it really well. It's also the primary punch that he goes to for his counters. Shoots counters off of his opponent's jabs. Shoots counter left hooks off of his opponent's right hand. But he doesn't land it nearly as well as he does when he's the one coming forward and being the aggressor. I don't know. His timing's a little bit off. His distance is slightly off with it. He's big and he's got good reach for the division. So I think that he was able to pick his shot a little bit better from the outside and land that. But I see him go to it a lot and I see it miss a lot. So it's something you can tell that he uses in the gym that he's still working on. I imagine as he continues to grow, as he continues to progress in his career, I imagine that's a shot that we're going to start seeing land more frequently and land with some authority. He's got this jab that it's not traditional. It doesn't come off quite the same way that you see with a lot of opponents or see with a lot of guys. It doesn't come like straight from the shoulder or straight out from the chin. He shoots it a little bit lower and sometimes even switches up the angles on it from there. And the thing about it is that makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with. It's something that your opponent isn't quite used to seeing. It's not just day after day after day. It's the same type of jab that he sees from guys since he's been in the gym forever. He knows how to block those ones. He knows how to slip those ones. He knows how to get out of the way. When you shoot it from a slightly different speed, slightly different rhythm, slightly different angle, it's those little nuances to give your opponent a little bit more pause. And then from there, like I said, he mentioned it comes forward with the right hand. But the flip side to the way that he throws that jab, coming from a slightly lower position, is that it leaves him open for counters. Look, we saw in his last fight with Niambiao, dude came over the top of that jab with that right hand beautifully more than once. Hurt him once with it early in the fight. Like that shot is there. And to be honest, we don't know what would happen if somebody came over with a nasty left hook. I mean, when we saw him in the ring in his last against Niambiar, dude, he was clearly much bigger than that guy. Niambiar landed some good shots, man. He had fast hands. He had good combinations. When he would get in on the inside with good footwork, sometimes he would slip off to the side and be able to land some good shots. Like, he was a very skilled fighter. You could tell that he was schooled well. He had some good physical talents, but I think he was outclassed. Colbert was the better fighter, number one, first and foremost. But Colbert was also a lot bigger. You could just see the way that they were standing when they were in with each other. They look like guys that should be in different weight classes. So that just adds to his, Colbert's ability to absorb those shots. It adds to his ability to be aggressive. It's going to make the other guy a little bit more hesitant because of that firepower that's coming back at him. All of those things. We also saw in his fight before that, Aberdola, he was able to get some good work in on the inside. He drew, in my opinion, he kind of put Colbert in that fight that wasn't to his benefit. Colbert said sometimes he had been in some boring fights. That fight with Corrales, man, they stood there like staring at the mirror at each other a lot of times. So he wanted to have like a better performance, look a little bit. So maybe that's why he fought on the inside. Maybe that's why he did something that, in my opinion, didn't play to his strengths. Man, he's fast with good footwork and fast hands and everything. Why are you going to be on the inside? Yeah, you landed some big shots. The crowd liked some things, but that's not playing to your strengths. You can go on the outside, tear that guy up with the jab, control the distance, hit him with the right hand, go to the body. Well, dude, he goes to the body. We saw that in the fight with Beltran. He stuck him with a good right hand to the body. Right before he caught that right hand off, and made him dip. Caught him with that right hand and just knocked him out face first, planted on the canvas. So he goes to the body well. But he didn't decide to do all that. He wants to play it on the inside. Should he do that again? Guys can be able to see some potential success against him that he wouldn't be able to see on the outside. Now, standing across from him, we got Hector Garcia. He's from the Dominican Republic, former Olympian. Look, man, I'm just going to cut right to the chase. He's a good fighter, solid fighter, but he's in over his head on this one. He's coming in against a guy who's much more talented than him. I think the fast hands and the accuracy and the crispness of Colbert's punching are going to be too much. Like, when you see Garcia fight, when he's doing what he wants to do, he's decent, right? He does some good work. He can come in, he can come forward, he lands the left hand when he wants to. If he can put you on the back foot, gives him an advantage. But I think he keeps his hands a little bit too low. I think in his stance, he's a little bit too squared up. I think he's not nearly defensively responsible enough to deal with the hand speed that Colbert's going to bring. Like, I think he's going to be able to, Garcia's a southpaw. I think Colbert will actually he's going to be able to land his jab well. I think if he shoots that jab and Garcia tries to block it with his left hand, you think about the way a southpaw and an orthodox fighter line up. If Colbert shoots his jab and Garcia tries to block it with his left hand, because his right hand is typically very low, if he tries to block it with his left hand, it's going to create a beautiful angle for Colbert just to come straight over the top with that right hand, because Garcia's left hand is going to be occupied with that jab. So it'll be interesting to see. I also think Colbert's going to be able to back him up. He'll be the one who's on his front foot coming forward a little bit. It's just going to shut down the offense of Garcia. I don't see this being really too challenging of a fight. Colbert doesn't have big power, so we could easily see this one go the distance, but I don't see it being challenging. I don't see Garcia coming in and being able to do some great work. We saw in his last fight against Avalar, man, he got dropped early in that fight with a right hook. I don't think he's defensively responsible enough to deal with the guys at this level. Colbert's younger than him too. So I just think overall, I get why he took it. Man, if you come in there, you're able to get this big upset. You're going to steal the hype train from this guy. This sets up the winner for this fight is the mandatory for the belt in the next one. So in that sense, it's a great opportunity, but I do not see him coming out with the victory on this one. I'm going with Chris Colbert. I think the show continues. I think we get to see him continue to grow. I think we get to see him continue to be a better fighter. Really interested to see what he looks like in this one, man. Really interested. There's two other fighters in this. I'll say there's one other really young up and coming fighter that's just talked about all the time in this division. Shakur Stevenson, right? He's got a fight booked with Oscar Valdez, I don't know, 64, 65 days away or something at this point. I don't remember what the date is, but, I follow Shakur Stevenson on Instagram, and he's always posting things, 68 days to go, 67 days to go. So it's somewhere around there. Really interested to see what happens in this one. This could, think about this. Chris Colbert wins this fight, goes out, he becomes the mandatory, wins the belt in the next one. Shakur Stevenson gets by Valdez. He snatches up two of the belts. Now we got to set up for a possible showdown between these two in the very near future. Who knows, end of the year, early next year or something. I fully expect both men eventually to move up in weight to 135 pounds. They're both young. They're both big for the division and got decent sized frames. I don't think they're going to be able to make 130 forever. But while they're here, we may see those two get to fight. Dude, I would love to see that one. I think they're both highly talented. It's phenomenal when you see two young, highly talented fighters in their prime get to go square off against each other. And then if it's like a really good fight, then you can let the rematch marinate for a couple years and these dudes are still in their prime. Maybe even at a different weight class, we get to see them a little bit bigger and how that plays out. Who knows? Either way, let me know what you guys think. How do you think this fight's going to play out? Am I giving Chris Colbert a little bit too much credit on his skills? Right? Do we need to see him in there against the best of the best? Or is he already passing the eye test? Or we already know exactly what we're seeing. We just need to see how it stacks up against the best in the division. Let me know what you guys think.